The New England Patriots Super Bowl lie. The 28-3 miracle that defied all odds. The greatest comeback in Super Bowl history took place on February 5, 2017, at NRG Stadium in Houston. The New England Patriots, led by Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, faced the Atlanta Falcons, who had the league's most explosive offense, led by MVP quarterback Matt Ryan. For 2.5 quarters, the Falcons dominated completely, building a seemingly insurmountable 28-3 lead with just over 8 minutes left in the third quarter. The Falcons had come in as slight underdogs but were playing like a team possessed. Their offense, coordinated by Kyle Shanahan, was clicking perfectly, with Matt Ryan finding receivers all over the field, while Devonta Freeman and Tevin Coleman gashed the Patriots' defense on the ground. Julio Jones was making spectacular catches that left Patriots defenders grasping at air. The Patriots looked old, slow, and completely overwhelmed. Brady, 39 years old at the time, was under constant pressure and seemed to struggle with Atlanta's speed and athleticism. Their offense was sputtering and unable to establish any rhythm while their defense was being shredded. But with 8:31 remaining in the third quarter, something shifted. The Patriots scored their first touchdown on a 5-yard pass from Brady to James White, cutting the deficit to 28-9. The touchdown provided a spark that had been missing the entire game. The real turning point came early in the fourth quarter when Donta Hightower strip-sacked Matt Ryan at the Atlanta 25-yard line, with Alan Branch recovering for New England. The Patriots capitalized with another touchdown pass to White, making it 28-20 with 5 minutes 56 seconds remaining. Suddenly, momentum had completely shifted. The Patriots got the ball back with 3 minutes and 30 seconds remaining, trailing by 8 and needing a touchdown and 2-point conversion to tie. Brady led a masterful 91-yard drive, with the key play coming on 3rd and 1 when he found Julian Edelman for what appeared routine but deflected off Robert Alford's hands. Edelman made a spectacular catch just inches from the turf, keeping the drive alive. James White scored on a 1-yard run with 57 seconds remaining, then Brady found Danny Amendola for the 2-point conversion, tying the game 28-28 and forcing the first overtime in Super Bowl history. In overtime, the Patriots won the coin toss and methodically drove 75 yards in 8 plays, capped by White's 2-yard touchdown run for a 34-28 victory. Brady completed 26 of 48 passes for 466 yards and 2 touchdowns, while White had 14 catches for 110 yards and 3 touchdowns. The Patriots had overcome the largest deficit in Super Bowl history. The Buffalo Bills, the comeback, 32 points in 35 minutes of pure magic. On January 3, 1993, at Rich Stadium, the Buffalo Bills engineered the greatest comeback in NFL history, overcoming a 35-38 in overtime. The Bills were heavy favorites, having reached 4 straight Super Bowls, but were playing without injured quarterback Jim Kelly and running back Thurman Thomas, forcing backup Frank Reich into action. The Oilers, led by Warren Moon and their run-and-shoot offense, came out firing. Moon was finding receivers all over the field while the Oilers' defense completely shut down Buffalo's offense. By halftime, Houston led 28-3, and the game appeared over. The third quarter was worse as the Oilers extended their lead to 35-3 early in the period. Many fans had left the stadium, and even optimistic Bills supporters were accepting their season was over. The deficit seemed insurmountable, especially with their backup quarterback and missing key players. But Frank Reich had been here before. At the University of Maryland, Reich had engineered the greatest comeback in college football history, overcoming a 31-0 deficit to defeat Miami 42-40 in 1984. Reich knew no lead was safe and began rallying his teammates with championship-level leadership. The comeback began with 12:05 left in the third quarter when Reich threw a 1-yard touchdown to Don Beebe, cutting it to 35-10. An onside kick recovery gave Buffalo another possession, and Reich found Andre Reed for a 38-yard touchdown, making it 35-17 and giving fans hope. The Bills' defense, led by Bruce Smith and Cornelius Bennett, began making crucial stops. They forced a 3-and-out, giving Reich another opportunity. He capitalized with a 26-yard touchdown pass to Reed, making it 35-24. The Bills had scored 21 points in less than 7 minutes. Another defensive stop led to Reich's third touchdown pass to Reed, this one from 17 yards, cutting the deficit to 35-31 with just over 3 minutes remaining. The Bills had scored 28 points in less than 12 minutes, and the impossible seemed possible. The Oilers managed a field goal with 12 seconds left, sending the game to overtime tied 38-38. But Buffalo had all the momentum and won on Steve Christie's 32-yard field goal. Reich completed 21 of 34 passes for 289 yards and 4 touchdowns, stepping up in the biggest moment of his career to deliver a performance remembered for generations. The Minnesota Vikings, the 33-point miracle in Minneapolis. On December 17, 2022, the Minnesota Vikings pulled off the largest comeback in NFL regular season history, overcoming a 33-0 halftime deficit to defeat the Indianapolis Colts 39-36 in overtime at US Bank Stadium. The comeback epitomized the Vikings' 2022 season under first-year head coach Kevin O'Connell, filled with improbable victories and never-say-die attitude. The game started disastrously for Minnesota, outplayed in every phase during the first half. The Colts, led by veteran Matt Ryan, scored on their first 5 possessions, building a commanding 33-0 halftime lead. The Vikings' offense was completely out of sync, with Kirk Cousins throwing 3 interceptions while the running game failed to establish rhythm. The Vikings' defense was equally ineffective, unable to stop the Colts' balanced attack. Jonathan Taylor was having his way with the front 7, while Ryan found open receivers everywhere. The 33-point halftime deficit was the largest in franchise history, and no team had ever overcome more than 28 points in regular season play. Kevin O'Connell, former Rams offensive coordinator, refused to let his team quit. During halftime, he challenged his players to show championship character and play with pride despite the seemingly impossible odds. The comeback began immediately in the second half when the Vikings scored on their opening possession. Cousins found his rhythm after struggling mightily in the first half. The touchdown was followed by a successful 2-point conversion, cutting the deficit to 33-8. The Vikings' defense, led by Zadarius Smith and Harrison Smith, began making crucial stops after being gashed earlier. They forced a 3-and-out, giving Cousins another opportunity. Cousins capitalized with another touchdown drive capped by C.J. Ham's 1-yard run. Another successful 2-point conversion made it 33-16, and suddenly the Vikings showed signs of life. The crowd at US Bank Stadium began making noise, and players fed off the energy. The Vikings continued chipping away throughout the third and fourth quarters, scoring touchdown after touchdown while their defense made stops. Cousins was playing career-best football, completing pass after pass with championship-level poise. Justin Jefferson made spectacular catches all over the field, while Adam Thielen provided reliable hands and precise routes. With just over 5 minutes remaining, the Vikings had cut the deficit to 36-28 and were driving again. Cousins found Jefferson for a 64-yard touchdown that tied the game 36-36, sending the crowd into a frenzy and completing one of the most improbable comebacks in NFL history. The Colts missed a 52-yard field goal as regulation expired, sending it to overtime. The Vikings won the coin toss and drove for Greg Joseph's game-winning 40-yard field goal, completing the largest comeback in NFL regular season history. The San Francisco 49ers, the wild card miracle against the Giants. On January 5, 2003 at Candlestick Park, the 49ers engineered one of the most dramatic and controversial comebacks in playoff history, overcoming a 24-point deficit to defeat the New York Giants 39-38 in a game featuring one of the most chaotic endings in league history. The 49ers entered as underdogs against a Giants team that won 10 games and featured one of the most dominant defenses in the league. The Giants' defense was led by Michael Strahan, who had set the NFL single-season sack record, and Jeremy Shockey, the fiery tight end who had become a dynamic offensive weapon. For most of the game, the Giants' superiority seemed to carry them to easy victory. They built a commanding 38-14 advantage late in the third quarter. The Giants' offense was clicking perfectly, with Kerry Collins finding receivers all over the field and Tiki Barber gashing the 49ers' defense. The 49ers offense struggled to move the ball consistently and seemed overmatched. The comeback began in earnest during the fourth quarter when Jeff Garcia began finding his rhythm and exploiting weaknesses in the Giants' secondary. Garcia, known for making plays in crucial moments despite career inconsistency, connected with receivers on big plays that gradually chipped away at the lead. The first touchdown came on a pass from Garcia to Terrell Owens, the mercurial receiver who was one of the most talented and controversial players in the league. Despite feuding with the front office all season and wanting to be traded, Owens put aside personal issues to lead the comeback. A successful two-point conversion cut the deficit to 38-22. The 49ers defense, led by Bryant Young and Julian Peterson, began making crucial stops after being gashed most of the game. They forced a 3-and-out, giving Garcia another opportunity with plenty of time remaining. Garcia capitalized with another touchdown drive, capped by his own 14-yard scramble into the end zone, showing his mobility and playmaking ability. Another successful two-point conversion made it 38-30, putting the 49ers within striking distance. With just over 2 minutes remaining and trailing by 8, Garcia led a game-tying drive capped by a 13-yard touchdown pass to Ty Streets with 1 minute and 5 seconds left. The 49ers still needed a two-point conversion, and Garcia found Streets again in the corner for the conversion, tying it 38-38 and sending Candlestick into a frenzy. The Giants had one last chance in regulation, driving for a potential game-winning field goal. But on the final play, their long snapper botched the snap, forcing holder Matt Allen to throw a desperate incomplete pass. The play was controversial as replays appeared to show 49ers interference with the snap, but no penalty was called. In overtime, the 49ers won the coin toss and drove for the game-winning field goal, completing one of the most improbable comebacks in playoff history. The Indianapolis Colts, the 2006 AFC Championship comeback. On January 21, 2007, at the RCA Dome, the Colts engineered one of the greatest comebacks in playoff history, overcoming an 18-point deficit to defeat the New England Patriots 38-34 and advance to Super Bowl 41. The comeback was the culmination of years of playoff frustration for Peyton Manning and the Colts, who had been eliminated by the Patriots multiple times. The Patriots entered as slight favorites, having defeated the Colts in playoffs twice in 4 years, including a dominant 20-3 victory in 2004. Led by Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, the Patriots featured a strong defense with players like Rodney Harrison, Ty Law, and Richard Seymour. For most of the first half, the Patriots appeared headed for another easy victory. They jumped out early behind Corey Dillon and Lawrence Maroney, who gashed the Colts' defense on the ground. The Patriots' defense harassed Manning, forcing several mistakes. By halftime, New England led 21-3, seemingly well on their way to another Super Bowl. The Patriots extended their lead to 21-6 early in the third quarter, then increased it to 34-14 with a Brady touchdown pass to Mike Vrabel. The 18-point deficit seemed insurmountable given the Patriots' track record in big games, but Manning refused to give up. Criticized throughout his career for inability to win big games, he began showing championship-level poise and leadership. He found his rhythm, completing passes to his talented receivers, including Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne, and Dallas Clark. The comeback began with a Manning touchdown pass to Dan Klecko, cutting it to 34-21. The Colts' defense, anchored by Dwight Freeney and Robert Mathis, began making crucial stops and putting pressure on Brady. Manning continued moving the ball effectively, leading another touchdown drive capped by Joseph Addai's 1-yard run. The score was now 34-28 with plenty of fourth-quarter time remaining. The RCA Dome crowd was going crazy, and momentum had completely shifted. The Colts' defense came up with a crucial interception when Kelvin Hayden picked off Brady and returned it for a touchdown. The score was now 35-34 in favor of Indianapolis, completing one of the most improbable comebacks in playoff history. Manning led a game-clinching drive capped by a field goal for the final 38-34 margin. Manning completed 27 of 47 passes for 349 yards and 1 touchdown, finally showing the clutch performance missing from his resume and setting up their Super Bowl victory over Chicago. The Denver Broncos. Monday night, miracle against the Chargers. On October 15, 2012, at Sports Authority Field at Mile High, the Broncos pulled off one of the most dramatic comebacks in franchise history, overcoming a 24-0 halftime deficit to defeat the San Diego Chargers 35-24. The comeback was orchestrated by Peyton Manning in his first season with Denver after 14 years in Indianapolis, serving as a statement game announcing the Broncos as legitimate Super Bowl contenders. The Chargers entered 3-2 and looking to make their own statement in the AFC West. Led by Phillip Rivers, who was having one of his best seasons, and a defense featuring Pro Bowl players like Sean Merriman and Eric Weddle, San Diego was confident they could compete with anyone. For the first half, the Chargers executed perfectly, completely shutting down Denver's high-powered offense while building a commanding 24-0 halftime lead. Rivers found receivers all over the field while the Chargers' defense harassed Manning, forcing several mistakes. The Broncos looked out of sync and overwhelmed, leading many to question whether 36-year-old Manning, coming off multiple neck surgeries, could still compete at the highest level. But Manning had faced adversity before and knew no lead was safe. During halftime, he gathered teammates and reminded them of the comeback possible with proper focus and determination. Manning had engineered memorable comebacks throughout his career, including the 2006 AFC Championship against these same Patriots, and was confident Denver could mount a similar rally. The comeback began immediately in the second half when Manning found Demaryius Thomas for a 21-yard touchdown on the opening possession. This was the first of a remarkable second-half performance where Manning completed 20 of 25 passes for 309 yards and 3 touchdowns after halftime. Thomas caught 7 passes for 134 yards and 2 touchdowns in the second half alone. The Broncos' defense, led by Von Miller and Champ Bailey, made crucial adjustments after being gashed in the first half. They forced several 3-and-outs, giving Manning multiple opportunities to cut into the deficit. Manning capitalized on those opportunities with touchdown drive after touchdown drive. The second score came on a 35-yard pass to Eric Decker, cutting it to 24-14 early in the fourth quarter. The third touchdown was an 18-yard pass to Thomas, making it 24-21 with just over 8 minutes remaining. Denver had scored 21 points in less than 20 minutes. The Broncos took their first lead with 2 minutes and 28 seconds remaining when Manning found Joel Dreesen for a 21-yard touchdown pass, making it 28-24. But they weren't finished. The defense intercepted the Chargers on their next possession, and Manning led one more touchdown drive to seal the victory. The final score was 35-24, with Manning completing one of the most impressive individual performances of his career. He finished with 309 yards and 3 touchdowns, all in the second half, showing he still had the ability to take over games in crucial moments. The comeback set the tone for a successful season, ending with an AFC championship and trip to Super Bowl 48.